Zeus, who won the battle against the Titans and took control of Olympus, traps the defeated Titans in the darkness deep underground. Gaia, the mother of all the gods, felt sorry for this and asked Zeus to have mercy and release the Titans. However, Zeus had no intention of releasing his past enemies, and an angry Gaia decided to bring down the gods of Olympus, including Zeus. She had a relationship with Tartaros, the darkest and deepest god of hell, and she gave birth to a huge monster god, Typhon, the most powerful god in Greek and Roman mythology. Typhon, who had the upper body as a human and the lower body as a snake, was a huge god with his shoulders touching the sky and his head touching the stars. It is said that if you spread your wings, the sun would be covered and the world would be plunged into darkness. Typhon stormed into Mount Olympus with a roar like a soldier, and the Olympian gods were greatly surprised and confused by the emergence of a monster god. For the first time in their lives, the terrified gods transformed into animals and fled to Egypt, where Zeus turned into a ram, a white cow called Hera. Apollo and Artemis turned into a crow and a cat, and Hermes turned into an ibis. Aphrodite and Ares, who just happened to be together, turned fish and ran away on friendly terms, while Hephaestus, Aphrodite's husband, remained alone and turned into a bull and ran away. Only Athena, the goddess of war, was prepared to fight Typhon. While all the gods were running away like this, Athena realized that even Zeus was running away, and shouted out loud and criticized his father's cowardice. Zeus, who was running away, heard Athena's cry and came to his senses, and returned to Olympus with a large thunderbolt and a huge sickle. This sickle was also a symbol of the god who ruled the world with a sickle that Zeus' father, Kronos, cut off his father, Uranus's genitalia. Zeus, upon his return, entrusts Athena with Olympus, and stands on the passage with a determined expression, waiting for the incoming Typhon. Typhon reaches Mount Olympus, ripping apart the sky and the ground, creating a gust of wind. Zeus threw and swung thunderbolt. Although he was Zeus, the king of the strongest gods, Typhon that Gaia had devised was also not easy, and a fierce battle continued to be pushed and pushed. The moment Typhon grabbed Zeus tightly and tried to break his neck, Zeus violently swung the sickle to retreat Typhon, and threw lightning. The battle, which seemed unlikely to end, is decided by a single moment of carelessness. Typhon ran away pretending to be pushed out of the fight, but when Zeus was careless, he tripped Zeus' legs and lay him down. Zeus, who was underneath, struggled, but Typhon took out Zeus' tendon. Zeus, who had an immortal body but could not lift a finger, because the tendons of his wrist and ankle were taken away, was trapped in a deep cave in Mount Cilicia. Typhon, who barely won but ran out of energy in the fight against Zeus, also takes a break at Mount Cilicia to recover. Athena, who was guarding Olympus alone, was deeply troubled. The gods who fled to Egypt did not dare to fight Typhon, and it was difficult to ask for help from Poseidon and Hades, who had powers comparable to Zeus. The three sons of Kronos, Zeus and Poseidon Hades, were divided into the earth, sea, and underground. If Zeus lost his power and called Poseidon and Hades as Olympus in exile, they would covet the dominion of the earth. It would destroy the balance of the world. Zeus, the king of the gods who is trapped and stuck, Typhon, the monster god who recovers his strength and seeks Olympus on the very mountain, and Athena, is looking at the worst crisis in Olympus history. At this time, a young man was passing by Mount Cilicia leisurely. This young man was Cadmus, the prince of Phoenician. He came all the way to the distant mountains alone because of Zeus' desire. Europe, a beautiful Phoenician princess, captured Zeus' heart, who was looking at Earth from the sky before the Typhon rebellion. Zeus, who fell in love with her picking flowers, immediately descended from the sky and turned into a beautiful bull, pacing in front of Europe. Seeing a white bull with nice horns, the princess approached carefully and touched her back. But the bull sat in front of her and acted cute, let alone avoided her. The moment the princess, who was fascinated by the gentle and beautiful bull, unknowingly got on the cow's back, the bull suddenly turned and started running madly to the beach. Surprised, Europe screamed, and the maids chased the cow late, but Zeus, who took the form of the cow, swam away in the sea. The maids who returned to the palace in an embarrassment informed the king of this fact, and Aguirre, the king of Phoenician, orders his sons to find Europe immediately, with a warning not to even think about returning if they don't find her. The princes dispersed across Greece in search of their sisters, and Cadmus was the most distinguished prince among them. This led him to Mount Cilicia in search of Europe. The goddess Athena, who was surveying Typhon through goddess eyes, also found Cadmus. The goddess is watching this prince, who is usually wise, powerful, and even has a heart to serve God. So she appears in front of Cadmus. After explaining the circumstances to Cadmus, who knelt in surprise of the sudden appearance of the goddess, Athena gives an order to save Zeus trapped in a cave. Typhon, who was recovering his strength while resting on Mount Cilicia, while taking a nap, heard sweet music. Attracted by such a beautiful sound, Typhon looked around and saw Cadmus dressed as a shepherd playing the flute. Perhaps surprisingly, Typhon praised Cadmus's performance and seduced him to take him to Olympus, and give him one of Athena and Aphrodite Artemis as his wife, if he continued to play music by his side. Cadmus pretended to accept Typhon's suggestion, and told a story made up in advance. In fact, his main instrument is not a flute, but a lyra, and Zeus cut off his lyra string with lightning. To Typhon, wondering why, Cadmus also added a lie that Zeus did not accept him, when he had previously had a lyra match with Apollo, the god of music, and was better at his ability to win over God. Typhon presents a bundle to Cadmus, laughing at Zeus' pettiness, and saying that no one could stop Cadmus from making a strong lyra string. There was no other than Zeus' tendon inside, and Typhon laughed, saying that he was taking revenge on Zeus. After thanking Typhon, Cadmus plays a lullaby on the flute to put the monster god back to sleep. Leaving behind Typhon that has fallen deeply, Cadmus crept into the cave where Zeus was trapped. Typhon, who was sleeping after listening to the beautiful flute, wakes up greatly surprised by the roar of thunder and thunder. In front of his eyes stood Zeus, who regained his tendon and re-established himself. Realizing that he had been deceived, Typhon attacked Zeus in anger, but was pushed by Zeus and ran away to Mount Nysa. There, Typhon met 3 new goddesses of fate who lived there, and the goddesses gave Typhon a short-lived fruit, saying that it was a great food to beat Zeus. As the name suggests, however, it was a fruit that gnawed at the power of the eater. Typhon, who received the fruit, was greatly pleased and after eating it quickly weakened and lost in the final match against Zeus. In the fight, Typhon tried to run away, but Zeus lifted a big mountain and pressed down on the Typhon, and it is said that the mountain where Typhon is located is the Etna volcano on the island of Sicily. The old Greeks believed that the eruption of this volcano was the anger of the trapped Typhon. Zeus, who came back and defeated Typhon, once again consolidated his position as king, and the gods who fled to Egypt returned to Olympus with joy. Cadmus, who saved Zeus, then became a hero, who was loved and supported by all the gods.